attendees. As you may know, you are attending a webinar which is organized by a training and consultancy company, Easy Procurement, which is based in Tbilisi, Georgia. And I hope you will enjoy this time spent with us today, because I personally love this topic very much. And I definitely know that this is a favorite topic for our guests too, to Marina. So today we will be discussing topic regarding risks. And Marina is from Ukraine. Here is a war situation there. There is a problems with supplies and kind of high risks in a supply chain. So Marina will help us to just clarify some issues. Will share her experience. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Tamara. I will be hosting the webinar today, and I would like to introduce my company. My company was established last year in May, so I am a CEO and a founder of Easy Procurement. I personally have more than 15 years experience in procurement and controlling, mostly in financial industry. Also, I have an experience in training industry in procurement. I'm also a SIPS member since, I guess, 2018. So I was working for a Swiss company, which was in trading industry. And now I represent my own company, Easy Procurement, which is operating a little more than a year. This is our full year. We added few courses, and now we're adding few of them new for 2023. So we will have 5 main training courses. They are mostly for procurement and everything which is around supply chain. We have open courses for procurement basics and management, and the rest of them are for corporate clients. For category management, art of negotiation, and logistics management. Now I can go through the webinar part and introduce Marina, my very good friend, colleague, and CEO and founder of IPSM, International Procurement and Supply Management Training and Consulting Company since 2018. She has a vast experience in procurement and supply. Here is a short list of her experience. It was not enough space here, so I hope Marina will add something. So she is a certified consultant at Cross Culture Academy. She is a former vice president of the Ukrainian Association of Procurement Professionals. She was a partner and business developer and trainer for Zigel HR, a Swiss training company. So the list is huge. So I would like to ask Marina, tell her, thank you, Marina, for joining us today once again. So please add, I know you can add much more. Please present yourself, and then we can start with the questioning part.
Okay, thank you very much. Gamarjoba, everybody. Sorry, my Georgian is very lack.
But it's quite good.
Yes, and today language for our presentation is English, and I really thank you for joining this webinar, because, as I said already, end of the year is a very difficult time. And I want to tell you the story how we met with Tamara. It is very interesting story, I would say. Yes, my company was founded really 4 years ago. 5 years will be in couple days, because it was in the beginning of 2018. Yes, 5 years already. But we met with Tamara in 2014. Yes, and it was time when I did trainings, and I was partner of Swiss company Zigel, as I said, Tamara, and I was searching for developing my business and developing business in CIS, Commonwealth of Independent States, where Ukraine is not a partner for many years already. And I had a business trip to Tbilisi and searching for some business partner, for procurement guys with whom to communicate how is the situation. And I wrote Tamara in LinkedIn and proposed to meet and discuss procurement situation in Tbilisi. And Tamara said, yes, of course we can meet. And I had meeting, saying truth, not only with Tamara, but with couple colleagues in Tbilisi. But it was starting of our friendship and partnership with Tamara. And really it is very successful, because I'm very happy and proud that Tamara now has successful business and growing up, and it's my happiness and pleasure to see how it happens in other countries and in many different cities. So yes, it was it was the beginning of the story was just chatting in LinkedIn, let's meet and have a coffee. Yes, and now it is really inspiring that in Georgia you have a company who is specialized in trainings and consulting and procurement. And I really wish good luck, Tamara, and all of you in this way. Continuing this topic, I want to say you that I'm originally, who didn't hear, I'm originally from Ukraine, from Kyiv. Oh, share screen. I'm originally from Kyiv, but because of the war and this situation, I should flee and escape from this awful and drastic war. And now I live in Portugal, in a village, small town, I don't know, near Porto. Porto is the second big city in Portugal, and it is north of Portugal. But at the same time, I continue to run my business, and we not only continue to work with our clients, but we grow up, and we have new clients, new projects. We manage them mostly online, but part of the team stay in Ukraine, and this team continue to serve our clients and to support our clients. And it is challenges of this situation, challenges of this war, but our front line, our obligations, we sure and we do it, our obligations to support Ukrainian economy and to support people who stay in Ukraine. And it is really very important. So we are doing all our the best to support economy and people who stay, our colleagues who stay, and our clients who stay in Ukraine and continue running business.
First of all, say what is a risk, what is risk, and how it can be managed, what can be done for the risk management.
So what is the risk? Risk is the event then happens or can happen in your life, in your business, in any situations. The philosophy of managing the risk is how you will mitigate or manage with this risk and what you will do in general. Yes, but before managing the risk, you need to identify it, and you need to understand which risks can happen in general, and what influences will happen to your life or to your business. So I can say that working with this topic, managing risk in my professional life, helped me a lot in this situation. So I will make parallel, yes, because it is very universal instrument, and you can use it in your life as well. And it helps me to understand in general of course, for my business, for business of my clients, and for my life, it helps me to understand this year in general what circumstances can happen. But in general, I was not prepared for the war, saying truth. Yes, I tell it is one of the my fail, because some of my friends, they were sure that war happens and that and they were waiting for this. I didn't believe that it can happen, and was my fail in my private and in my business life, and I didn't evaluate and calculate it in proper way. And another side of the story, we can, with my partner, very quickly to understand what to do with this risk first months, and to develop the continuous plan, yes, mitigation plan, and change our approach. So the risk is the events which can happen in the life. Events in the end, yes, and losses. But in some cases, you just need to invest some resources, time, money, or people to mitigate this risk and to manage it. And so that is why I am sure that now procurement and supply chain professionals in Ukraine now, not all of them, but many of them, are very professional in managing the risks, and very professional how to react in very difficult situations. So this picture I will show. It is very, how to say, looks like fantastic, but very often it looks like real life in Ukraine, yes, in front line especially, but it is allegory how now procurement guys work in Ukraine mostly, but in other spheres as well. For example, who didn't calculate and include this risk connected with supply from Ukraine this year? So they faced with very difficult situations, very, very difficult situations. For example, some materials or some elements for producing semiconductors, the source for these elements were in Ukraine. If I'm not mistaken, 40% approximately of gas which used for producing these semiconductors, the source was from Mariupol, and this gas was produced in Mariupol. So the producer of semiconductors should have developed this plan, yes, and should start to implement this plan before the war happened. And this is the example how to manage, or what didn't happen with these risks. So the situation with problems in supply chain, in procurement, started before this year, before the war in Ukraine, and started 2 years ago. So when we faced with COVID, lockdowns, and other leakages in supply chain, lack of some materials, empty shelves in a supermarket, etc., etc. And we really understand that if something happened in this supply chain, we need to manage. Yes, we need to change timelines. We need to change our trademarks or brands or our trademark lines, etc. So we need to react somehow in our business. So to change production plans, etc. And it was the first event, I would say, yes, the first problem which faced all procurements in the world. And the first post I wrote in March 2020 was about the problem with suppliers and with supply chain. I wrote that, and it was the first lockdown, if you remember, yes, in March.
Yes, it was a terrible period for all the whole world.
Yeah, all the world. And I wrote that the first you should do in this situation, you need to contact your suppliers, the first, and you need to be very accurate in your actions with suppliers. You need to talk with your suppliers, and as more important your suppliers to your business, as more often you need to communicate with the suppliers. So you need to develop mitigation plan together. You need to develop some plan B, some C, etc. Yes, all together, because the wellness and in really existing of your suppliers connecting to your existing, especially if these suppliers are very important for your business. And in some cases, suppliers can be not big or huge who can survive in difficult situations. It can be small business, small partner, but very important for you. And in this case, if you are bigger comparing with this small partner, you need to support somehow. Yes, some, for example, common logistics routes or common car fleet approach or any other resources can be useful for this partner to survive all together.
Okay, Maria, we are now actually in transitioning period after pandemic, when our normal life still has changed, but we have to deal with our normal life today. Yeah, what kind of risks buyers are facing now after considering post-pandemic period?
So I have bad news that we don't back to normal life. So unfortunately, yes, we need to accept it that
our changed normal life.
We will not back to normal life.
Normal.
Yes. So where we are now with the situation when we have problem with China, huge problem with China, because China have zero tolerance to COVID. Yes, first of all, I explain why. We have problem. First problem, they have zero tolerance to COVID. The second problem, they didn't make vaccination for population. So as a result of this, they have huge wave of COVID.
Again.
Yes, covering all population in China. And at this situation, they have problem with economy. People don't want to stay at home because they don't have money, they don't have income, salary, etc. They have very difficult situation in economy in China. And they have protests, very powerful protests. And China now looks like not very good in managing with this protest, and they cannot do a lot. So we faced with the problem that economy of China is shaking. Yes, and China Communist Party will search for any decision how to manage, first of all, this COVID waves. And again, it can be lockdown when they shut down all big cities, for example, like Shanghai and other big cities when we cannot work with this. We cannot work with businesses from China. So it means if you are connecting with China, so we can face with the problems. And in February, it will be New Year in China, so it can be really big problem. The second problem, it's interruption in supply chain and interruption connecting to the war. So, for example, let's make this slide. Very simple example. So this map shows how many countries were connected to supply of wheat from Ukraine. Yes. So they have grain from Ukraine, different kind of grains, and the question of their survival, yes, or really save lives, yes, it's question if we can supply, in general, if the world can supply the grain and wheat from Ukraine. And it is not only about Ukraine. So this war face whole the world with problem with supply from Ukraine and sanctions to Russia. Yes. So many foods, many materials, many different products cannot be supplied from Russia. For example, now I have some meetings in Portugal with some businesses, and they said that, Marina, we face the problem. We cannot, we don't have wood for our industry from Russia, because they supply it from Russia normally. For example, Nordic pine and oak and birch wood for producing furniture here in Portugal. So they are searching for new source and they try to manage this situation. So this is what we face. It means that whole world faced with situation where they need to find some sources to supply many materials, many products and some services from
Marina, may I add some,
yes,
just make an addition. So considering risks, not only in procurement, but in general also, the main reason is to, reduce the risk, first of all, identify and reduce. Yeah. So reduce the risk means that we have to, have like such plan B. So this is basic on your example with the communication you made now. Most companies doesn't have this plan B for the main suppliers. This is a diversification, even based on countries. This is a, when you rely only on one source, the same as they were relying for the Russian wood. So this hurts the business, first of all. So at least you should know your alternatives for the business main categories which you have. This is the essential. So this is a really problem, not only for the, Europe. We have the same problems in Georgia also, that most companies don't have, because some sources are cheaper than the others, so they do not consider any replacements. But then when the risks comes, so there is a huge problem. The same as you said now.
Yes, it's a huge problem in general that not only procurement, but businesses don't work with the risks. So I was sure that the 2 previous years COVID situations faced them with the problem when they need to implement these risks. And especially when your business very fragile and dependent to some risky resources, yes, and risky countries, for example, etc. But unfortunately, normally business and procurement don't use this instrument, and it's pity. So also the problem of our culture that we don't understand. I don't know how it's in Georgia, but I see it in Ukraine, that we don't have a habit, I would say, yes, or culture to understand that investing to minimize risk. Yes, it is about minimizing risk, but not about just spending money. Yes, and investing in better situation, investing in plan B, plan C, and we don't have the culture how to calculate it. And if you cannot calculate by yourself, you can ask for your colleagues to calculate it, and it can be done by finance guys or by other colleagues who can calculate how you will lose and how you will get if you develop plan B and plan C. I want to show you very simple instrument which I use in my trainings and in my practice in consulting projects. So this instrument shows how you can evaluate very simple risks. So you need to develop this matrix. The horizontal line, it is probability of occurrence, yes, and consequences, yes. It is about amount of money which you will lose in case these risks happen. And this very simple evaluation of the occurrence probability, yes, probability and amount of damage. So you can evaluate like low, medium, high, or you can develop the schedule, for example, from 0 to 10. Also, it is very simple instrument, but there are some sophisticated instruments which used in very mature business, but if you don't have, you can use this one. And you need to identify these risks and then put on this matrix and understand what to do with this business. This gray one is the risks which you just accept and don't do anything because probability is not so high and amount of money you will lose not very high. But this pink is very important because you can lose a lot of money and probability can be very high. You need to develop plan B and you need to go according to this plan. Existing of the plan B don't give you the calm nights, yes, and don't give you the assurance that everything will be okay. So you need to implement this plan, not only have on the paper. And red one, it is very, very important risks, and you need to focus sometimes even every day. And as I talked with my colleagues from previous years and this year, they said that their main job of CPO was to be connected with main suppliers, just to be connected every day. Every day they have updates. So yes, they have updates about the colleagues who are safe and help their families to be safe. But the second task they have is to be connected to suppliers and updated every day. If everything okay, it's okay. If something wrong, we need to react very quickly. Very, very quickly and make decisions. So this instrument can help you very much, or you can take it and use in your day-to-day work, and then describe all these risks and go step by step with this risk. Also, what I want to tell you, this is picture about our client. This is IT company, SoftServe. This is Ukrainian company, but they're operating worldwide. And we started to work with them previous year. We work in different fields and spheres, but one very important field was supplier relationship management, and one part of SRM is onboarding suppliers. So that the task was how to reduce risks when we start to work with these suppliers, and how to guarantee our business that we don't work with suppliers who are connected to risky spheres, markets, and who is connected to Russian and Belarusian business and stakeholders, yes, and shareholders. So the procedure of checking these suppliers, yes, and validation of these suppliers should start before you announce the winner of the tender, and before you do all this job during bidding and sourcing process. So
you recommend, Marina, to have the list of suppliers before you have start tenders or biddings?
No, what they did the one window for onboarding suppliers, and to make the minimum validation procedure before they entering the tender. So
okay,
any supplier, any supplier can apply to this site, yes, to understand the rules of cooperation with SoftServe, and then to pass through the questionnaire, and if it's necessary to download some documents, for example, like anti-money laundering policy or code of conduct, etc., etc. So it is the process of self validation, yes, or guarantee that you confirm that you accept all the rules of SoftServe and you follow all these rules. It is the first step, and then procurement buyers, they have this list of suppliers, vendors, and after this they start some relationship, I would say, yes, with these suppliers. Also, if you conduct closed tender, it means that you want to invite some shortlist suppliers. You need first to go through this questionnaire and procedure, and then you start a negotiation or tendering process with this supplier. This is very good example. And starting this procedure before the war in the November previous year, it helps them to be ready this year and mitigate this risk. Don't pay attention this year to this risk. So it is very good example.
First of all, this pre-checking, which was done before, do they use it every time for the bidding? What is a successful case for this situation?
No, they don't use it every time for bidding process. They do it once for all suppliers, but for key and strategic suppliers, they should make this procedure once per year, just to check if anything changed or not changed.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Successful cases are very important to be shared. Maybe you can share unsuccessful cases which had this problems with risk management, maybe?
Yes, these unsuccessful cases of mitigating risks. This is another one client, our client in Ukraine. This is agriculture company. They growing up wheat and corn, and they produce, they sell them to other, not traders, but companies abroad, and they faced with a huge problem this year. So that they were not prepared to the situation when they cannot sell this grain. and the technological process of keeping this grain in elevators have some rules. And when they understand that they cannot sell this grain, they saw that there were some ants and some bugs in this grain, which is not allowed it for this industry. So they could not sell this grain till they fumigate all this harvest. Yes. And it was the problem of the question is not mitigating the risk. And another risk they faced when they need to buy gas for production cycle for elevators, and they didn't follow our recommendations when they need to go to the market and conduct tendering procedures to buy this gas with good price. And then they tried to catch on the waves, because price of gas, yes, growing up. Yeah. They tried to catch the good price, but couldn't. So it was a case how they didn't mitigate this risk, but this organization is not matured so much. And we worked with them 1.5 years. We helped them many issues in many cases how to manage procurement, but still they are not so sophisticated. But each organization had their own way, I would say.
I have my last question for you. What would be your recommendation for risk management to Georgian procurement professionals? Because the local market is really small, supplier market is smaller, so it means that most of buyers are working with the international suppliers. But in today's situation, after pandemic, during the war in Ukraine, and different other problems with the weather and etc. etc. So what would you recommend to our local colleagues to do with how to
yes, so my recommendation, yes, my recommendation, they from one side they're very simple, from another side they need
as always.
Yes, as always, yes. If you follow these recommendations, you need to change your approaches and to need to change the way you do procurement. First of all, it is not enough only have negotiations instruments. Yes, you need to be equipped very good, and one of the instruments is category management. And category management like very good and powerful instruments. And it is not about to divide your spend into category and just to say, oh, I'm category manager. No. It is the instrument which can bring very sophisticated results and savings, but need to change your approach from transactional to strategic way of doing your business. First, the second is a supply relationship management. So you need to work in a very effective way with suppliers, and you need to develop real strategy what to do with different groups of suppliers. Yes, strategic, key suppliers, and just suppliers. And it should be real strategy on paper and implement it, not only on paper, but implement it. Also, what I recommend you to do, to accept and to understand that we will never live in the life as it was 3 years ago, never. Yeah. And unfortunately, it is the reality. We need to accept that the world we will live will be very like VUCA. Yes, I think that you know what it means. Very changing, quickly changing. You need to be resilient. You need to be prepared to change your strategy, approach, and actions very quickly. Nothing will be stable. And you need to start implement risk management. So start with some mitigating and managing with some risks, and then increase it to other categories and other spheres in procurement. And we will face with storage, we will face with bottlenecks, and we will face with the pressure to supply chain. And in this situation, our communication skills and skills of critical thinking becomes very important. And we, like procurement, need to change our approach. So we need to operate technically, but thinking strategically. And one of the recommendations, I visited digital procurement world event in Amsterdam this year in September, and this recommendation I like very much. So you need to reshape your procedures and your approach to making procurement and purchasing. You need to automate the simple and simplify the complex, to be more resilient, to be more quickly in what you are doing. Yes, you need to simplify the complex. So if you will continue to work with very complicated things, you will not be so flexible in your actions, and you cannot change situation very quickly, change teams, change suppliers, change approach, change strategy very quickly, and you need to simplify this complex. But at the same way, you need to automate the simple things which cannot be atomized, because it gives you so-called the resources, yes, and it gives you additional time and additional possibility to work with more complicated things, to spend more time with your suppliers, yes, and to work with strategic
for more important things.
Yes, questions which brings more value and more effect. So, as I said, my recommendations are very simple.
Thank you, Marina. It was really clear for myself. And of course, in my, perspective, managing of the risks in our business and procurement part is actually the issue of timing, issue of, spend time for thinking about the risk. When we're every day in a hurry, we have such, words which are said in procurement that I wanted this yesterday. Oh, no, the day before yesterday. Mm-hmm. So this is absolutely, unreal to spend extra few minutes for thinking about the risk, but this is really important.
Yes, but I want to add, Tamara, that we need to stop and think about risk and strategic things. Otherwise, we will be like squirrel all working and running in these wheels. Yes. And we cannot work with these two material, we cannot automate the simple, yes, and we will do all the time the same, and nothing will be changed if we will not stop and think and try to solve the issues.
Of course. So this timing, especially, I meant that we need this time for stopping and thinking about what is need to be done, because I also have a few unsuccessful cases with my clients who had some just simple, didn't think even about the alternative suppliers for the main categories, and something went wrong, somebody forget to make an order, and business will stop. So this is not right. Even some things which are obvious for our everyday work needs to be reassessed, needs to be seen in a different angle, because nobody was expecting the pandemic situation. Nobody was expecting the war in Ukraine. So this is risks. Some risks are understandable and expected, but some of them are absolutely unexpected. So we need to be prepared. We need time for thinking. One more time, very big thank you